Grand Rising. Skinny Joe Hennessy is my name. Name of the channel is The Children. On YouTube, it's Joseph Hennessy 1161. I'm on a mission. We are on a mission to fix Mother Gaia, Earth, return her to her former glory, restore her to her original blueprint. No more abuse. So today, I'm at County Point. It's a beautiful day. I can't do anything about the airplanes. I apologize, but just part of it. I live too close to the airport. I love being outside, and I'm not going to make any videos indoors. So today, I wanted to speak a little bit about it's starting to roll downhill, the shit, everything that they've been doing to us for the last 75 years, but especially the last 5 years. There's a lot of information coming out about one Barack Obama and all the bad things that he's done to Donald Trump. He's the one who interfered with the election in 2016 to come up with the Russia propaganda, the Russiagate, Russia, which turns out to be a total fabrication. If you go out and you do your research, all the documents are there. They were told that Russia had no ability to affect that election. But they went ahead and ran with it anyway. But that's just part of the story, because this whole plan with the presidents has been going on since John Kennedy Sr., since he was assassinated by the CIA. Because he's doing like one Donald Trump is doing. He tried to give the country back to the people. He said he was going to blow the CIA into 1,000 pieces, and what did they do? They blew his head into 1,000 pieces. And you start talking about all the presidents, it starts with him, because the Kennedys are a dirty family. They made all their money off of alcohol. They still do. But there has to be a system breaker in the family, like myself and John Kennedy Sr. and many of the light workers and starseeds. So they murdered the man because he wouldn't play ball with the deep state, even though they're the ones who installed him. But he was a system breaker. He was going to give the country back to us. He stated that. And the funny thing is, when he was assassinated, one president to be was standing in front of the book depository named George Bush. What was he doing in front of the depository? All lies, 18 bullet holes, one shooter, lone shooter. There's always a lone shooter when these assassinations happen against presidents with no help, or they have no history with anybody else helping them. They're always lone gunmen. How convenient. So they kill him. The Warren Commission, half the Warren Commission are guys who were fired by John Kennedy. All a bunch of BS. You get Lyndon Johnson. He's dirty. Next president. He starts the welfare system. He starts breaking up the nuclear family. And hence we get what we have today with the families, where kids are running amok because the mother's not in the home anymore, because they made it like it was a disgrace to raise your own children. So he was a plant. They're all plants. If you know anything about the Bilderbergs or all those secret groups, they pre-install the presidents beforehand. But with Donald Trump, they didn't take him serious enough, so they just let him run, and it backfired on him. So Lyndon Johnson, you get the Richard Nixon. I don't know if he was good or bad, but they wanted him out. He was talking to the moon on a landline telephone in 1969 with no delay. A landline. But we can't go back to the moon. So he was part of the deception. They get rid of him. They put Gerald Ford in there. He's another deep state puppet, installed, plays their games. 1980s, where are we at now? 1980s, we get to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan not a bad guy, but they made George Bush the vice president. They installed George Bush as the vice president. Same guy who was sitting in front of the book depository as the leader of the CIA or the FBI, one of the two, but he was the head of it. What was he doing standing in front of the depository? So after Reagan, it's George Bush. And I forgot about Jimmy Carter, but Jimmy Carter was just a lame duck president. All he did was cancel the Olympics. The 1976, 77, 78, 79 were all shitty years anyway. It was a great time to be a kid, but it was a bad time for America. That's when they drummed up the fake, there is no more gas, there was a gas crisis, but that was all BS because there always seems to be plenty of gas. And Donald Trump talks about how much gas we have. You see the pattern here? Everything's just a big shit show. And Donald Trump is not one of them. And like I'm going to keep telling you, they didn't take him serious enough. Then after he won, they came up with all that Russia bullshit. All the impeachments, because they wanted to stop him. Because he's just like John Kennedy Sr. He's here for us. He cares about us. He cares about America. The man didn't have to take this job. Then you get to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton deregulated everything. And they started all the big business and banks bailouts at this time. All these companies make billions of dollars and they allegedly go belly up and the government bails them out, and we have to pay for it. But the government never bails us out for anything. Look at all the disasters that they created with their direct energy weapons. $700 they're giving the people. Places like Palestine, Ohio, the water's still dirty. Detroit, water's still dirty. Lahaina, nothing done. Southern California, nothing done. I know I'm jumping around a wee bit, but that's just how I'm feeling. These presidents are all dirty. Bill Clinton liked little girls. How many women did he pay off for sexual advances? How many people died around the Clinton by mysterious circumstances? It's all fact. Then after Billy Boy Clinton, Slick Willie, doing dirty things in the Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky, you get to George Bush in the trade towers. The clown just sat there in a chair when he found out what happened, because he knew what was going to happen, because it was all predestined to happen. They started the police state after that against us in the name of terrorism. 9/11 wasn't a false flag. It was real, but it was a false flag because they created it to create the police state that we are now in. The Twin Towers fell at free fall speed, which is impossible unless it was a detonated blast. Structural engineers will tell you that that building should have, or those two buildings should have collected themselves as they were coming down, slowly stopping the collapse of the building if the airplanes could have, which they couldn't have. It was a detonated blast, and you start getting into that. You get into the gelatin group who was in the 85th floor of one of the buildings, and there's pictures in the buildings with a bunch of gel caps which are used for detonated blasts. Guy who owns the building insures them for asbestos damage because they're full of asbestos and it costs them way too much money to fix them, so what do? Put them on the ground. He doesn't go to work that day. Building 7 falls for no reason right behind the Twin Towers. Well, guess what was in those buildings? Paperwork and money. There was an evacuation notice before that building fell. It fell because of heat. It's all BS. Was this all about starting the police state against us? And I make a lot of my videos in front of Facebook, the CIA. That's the best way to spy on us. Hello? You don't see a pattern here? Then you get to Barack Obama. He started all this mess that we're having right now with the kids, the transgenderism, even though he didn't accept gay marriage when he was the president. Donald Trump was the first president to actually acknowledge gay marriages, even though Big Mike and Barack, some people might say they were already in a gay marriage. Big Mike. So he started this mess, and all his history is all sealed documents. Why? Because it's all fabricated lies. Everything Trump says about him eventually comes true. Everything. He's the one behind all this Russiagate, him, Hillary Clinton. She smashes her email, her servers, with 40,000 emails on it. Julian Assange, who was persecuted by the American government, got him and he leaked them. The American government hounded him down for years, where he had to hide in I think it was an Ecuadorian building down in Ecuador. What do they call it? I forget what they call it, but he had to hide in the embassy in Ecuador from the American government. He finally got out of jail because he told all the truth about WikiLeaks. John Podesta, Pizzagate, all the kids, what they're doing to the kids. It's all sick. So Barack Obama was trying to ruin Donald Trump getting into office because Donald Trump says, I caught them all, and he caught them all. But it just takes time for the truth to come out. You have to build the cases against these people. Joe Biden, the people's president, a Democrat. If you go back and you do your homework on Joe Biden, you see his interviews in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, he is a racist. He hates black people. He hates people of color. He said he didn't want his children going to school in racial jungles. Same guy who says, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. The Democrats, the Democrat Party, the party of the Ku Klux Klan. Abraham Lincoln was the Republican. The Republican Party was started by black fellas. But they brainwashed everybody to switch parties, and they've done nothing for 75 years. They called Donald Trump a racist. But up until 2015, they all loved him. 300 rap songs, cameo appearances in movies, The Apprentice, On the View with those hot windbags of women that are just stupid, saying he should run for president. What happened? He switched parties. Then they turned on him. And people bought up the propaganda because the news is so one-sided. They're pro-Democrat. Why? They're supposed to be non-judgmental. Just give the story and let us decide. And they're doing the same shit as they're doing in 2016. He's done so much for us already, and things are going to get better. He closed the borders up. He's finding all those children that are missing. He's finding all the American children that go missing. He's rounding up the pedophiles, and all they do is just beat them over the head. It just gets tiresome after a while. We need to make up our own minds. But the presidents are all installed. He's the only one that wasn't installed because they didn't take him serious in 2016. And guess what? It backfired. So in 2020, they brought the pandemic out. They were going to bring it out anyway, but he brought it out faster. He accelerated their plans, the World Economic Forum plans. They had to throw everything out there a lot faster than they wanted to. He caught him. So this is the end of the shit show, and we're trying to get everybody to wake up. Everything that's happening is happening naturally and unnaturally. All the animals in Yellowstone Park are leaving the park. There's a lot of seismic action under the park. Animals know first. Guy is changing, everything's being fixed. But Trump, they never stop. It's just the same nonsense over and over again. He takes questions, he's there 24/7, keeping it real. He never saw Joe Biden for 4 years because Joe Biden wasn't running the show. They stole the 2020 election. There's 15 million extra votes, but that all is going to come out because Trump watermarked all the ballots. But he had to let the shit show just play out because if Hillary would have got in, boy, we would have been doomed a long time ago. But they're losing. They're going to lose. Trump's going to win. Barack Obama and all his cronies, Comey and Clapper and Adam Schiff, they made up all the bullshit about him. Everything's made up. Crimes against humanity these people did. They subverted an election. The will of the American people. He won the 2020 election, there's no doubt about it. So all the presidents are all picked. They all come from the same bloodline, except for Trump. They're all slave owners, except for Trump's family. They're all buddies, except for Trump. They're all Luciferians. They hate children. The Baphomet, transgender goats. Look at Barbara Bush, Big Mike. Barbara Bush is an ugly man, and they try to make that thing into a woman. Listen to the way it talked. Deeper voice than me. The Matrix is an illusion. They tried to turn everything backwards. But Joe Hennessy and you aren't going to let it happen. God wins. We win. Enough of the presidents, but Barack Obama is going down for what he did. He killed his chef, too. Allegedly, he was having some kind of affair with him. Our first homosexual president, Barry Soretoro. Not even American. Everything Trump said about him was the truth. Everything about him is a secret. Where is he from? Where did he go to school? Why is everything so secretive? Because he was groomed to be the president. Barry Soretoro. Lolo Soretoro's stepson. Guy worked for the CIA. Listen to Barack Obama speak. He's got the most uppity voice I've ever heard in my life. He doesn't even sound like an uptight white guy. Nothing black about that guy, except they taught him how to play some hoops in Chicago. And by the way, he never goes back to Chicago and does anything. You get mass murders every weekend in the city of Chicago. Hellhole does nothing except complain that black people are persecuted, even though he's never been black in his life. He's white, half white. Everything about him is white. It's all a big show. But anyway, enough of the presidents. We're winning. Everybody have a great day. Namaste.